Well, howdy ho there, folks. Today we're going to be playing a little bit of Warhammer Total War, and I have all these different factions set up here, and we're just going to click to see which one we get. Then this is the one that we're going to play as for today. Ooh, Cathay. I haven't played them before, so this will be new and different. Let's check it out. Well, howdy ho there, folks. How are we doing today? Hopefully you're all doing absolutely peachy keen, fantastic, wonderful greatness. Forever and great now. 5 times billion. So yeah, we're going to be playing Cathay, apparently. And I've never played Cathay before. Partially just because I just wasn't really that interested in playing Cathay. I mean, I think that they seem pretty cool, and I'm glad that they added factions that are, like, mentioned but never actually, like, really elaborated on in the lore. I did look. There is very, very little stuff about Cathay, and I did make Miao dance, so that's pretty cool, though. I mean, I think she's pretty ballin' right there. Jarl ballin', if you will. I did end up getting the DLC because I didn't have the heroes in there, and I thought the Changeling is kind of interesting. I have no real interest in the Hag, although apparently people are pretty not okay with the price, which, hey, that's understandable. But I play Warhammer Total War often enough that I was pretty okay with this, and I like having more units, and especially I thought the Jade Dragon was the one that I didn't know, like, literally anything about, so I thought it would be interesting to, instead of, you know, using Miao or the Iron Dragon, whose name I just completely forget, I thought it would be interesting to play around with... Oh, that's why. I'm silly. To just play around with the Jade Dragon. So I ended up getting it, and I decided to play around with him a little bit. I thought he was going to be kind of interesting. Although I didn't know that he was going to be a little bit weird, and I don't know if he's necessarily more difficult. I should have clicked on the map parts, but I ended up not doing that. More or less just ended up going, okay, I'm going to go with the Jade Dragon because he looks cool. I mean, look at him. He's a neat looking dragon. I like him. Although I read a little bit, and apparently he's kind of a little bit of a Mary Sue. I'm not going to get too into that. I'm trying to keep all this stuff positive and fun. Know what I mean? So, anyway, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to go ahead and play the Jade Dragon. And I will say that part of the reason I never really played Cathay before is that I don't necessarily think that Cathay is bad per se, but it's just never really struck my fancy. You see, a lot of the other factions, I have their books on the shelf, and I've read about them. I've read, you know, their army books a lot, and, you know, maybe if we're talking about Warhammer Fantasy, I played a lot of them, you know, at least a little bit, or like once or twice. Thanks to Warhammer Army Projects, I've tried out a lot of different armies, and I kind of looked at the Warhammer Army Projects lore within for Cathay, within the book Cathay book and the end books and stuff like that, and I was like, you know, I could definitely see something cool being here. See, part of it is that my interest in, like, Chinese history is not really so much the wars and the soldiers and stuff like that. It's always been like the politics and the intriguing stuff going on behind the veil, and like all the interesting kind of drama going on with the emperors. But I decided I wanted to give these guys a try. I put them in the little spinny wheel thingy, so of course I wanted to give them a try. But what I ended up finding is that they didn't feel like they played that different. However, on my first playthrough that you're seeing right now, I didn't realize how many extra steps and things there were. I didn't really notice the caravan thing. I didn't really understand the Matters of State thing. I didn't know about it. And to be perfectly honest with you, I should have read about it. I mean, it's a brand new faction, and in the future, I'm going to try and read a little bit more about the faction before I start them. But I thought it would be kind of interesting to just go in with just completely, you know, fresh, no idea what I'm doing, not really any way to know for sure how I would play different guys and like what each different thing brought. Although I will say that something I was really kind of confused about at first was that I had this one city, Shangwu, in Cathay, and then everything else is way over there in Lustria, which, you know, kind of fucked me up at first because I was like, wait, so what? And I was like, do I need to focus on that one or not? And, you know, like, do I need to focus on Shang Wu, or do I just focus strictly over here? And of course, over here we have an orc faction that wants to fight us right off the bat. Nothing too crazy there. I will also say that I do like the designs of a lot of the stuff from Grand Cathay. I will maybe argue about whether or not I think it fits well within Warhammer. I think I've seen a decent number of people say that they don't really fit very well. I don't know about that. I think they are definitely a little bit more high fantasy than a lot of the other stuff we got going on. But I mean, like, high elves ride dragons and cast huge, humongous magic waves and all kinds of crazy stuff. Dwarves forge ancient runes, which make super powerful weapons, and they have the ability to strike runes. There's definitely some high magic stuff in here. It's just not like the most common. I did end up losing a bunch of dudes pretty early on because these guys attacked one of my cities, and I just had all I had at that moment was just a small settlement garrison, which turns out to not be super effective against, you know, large amounts of the savage orcs, which, you know, that's kind of like whatever. I do find it interesting though. This is apparently a savage orc warband, but if you look at the guy's picture, he's very clearly not a savage orc, or like if you look at his armor and stuff, like, that's not typical, but, you know, it's perfectly fine. I will say that the first playthrough I was doing way worse, I think, than the second one when we get to it. I did think it was kind of fun to just jump into a faction that I didn't really know and just try out something new and different, just to see what we would get, where we would go, and, you know, all the different things. And of course, you know, I normally play like orcs. I played ogres like once or twice. Vampire counts a couple times, or the Empire. So I did want to try branching out, and these guys definitely felt a little bit different than the Empire, I'll say that. Even though I don't really know how different they truly are. But to me, they felt different, and I did think it was kind of cool to have, like, these giant jade lions, for instance, in my army, and I had a bunch of the bowmen and the peasant guys. Like, my armies are mostly made up of, like, peasant levies, which ended up being a whole thing. And it was also kind of funny because these orcs ended up offering me a peace treaty after I took over a couple of their cities. And at first I was like, no, I shouldn't accept the peace treaty. I should take that last city. But then I thought the better way to behave, and the way that I am supposed to behave, would be a peace offering is made to me. I shouldn't revel in war and go out and fight them more. So I was like, okay, they've offered me peace. I'm going to keep the peace. And, you know, I figured they'd probably try to fight me later on, but I was like, whatever. I'm going to go ahead and just pull back for now and, you know, let them have their thing. Reinforce my army and eventually get to the point where I could deal with them. But then this ended up happening, and Marcus Wolfhard just decided to declare war on me. The exact reason why, I don't know. You know, it's Warhammer, man. People just walk up to you and go, hey, it's time for war. It's time for dying and stabbing. And I'm like, but I'm here to maintain the celestial peace, you son of a bitch. And then they were like, but I want to stab. So I was like, oh, okay, well, heard if you didn't. And then this is at the start of the second playthrough, and I did things a little bit differently here, where I reinforced the crap out of my army. I also started building a second army way sooner, and I find that one of the things that maybe prevents me from getting better at this game or getting more into this game is that I tend to be very slow when it comes to building up armies, because I want to focus on building the cities, so I have these little bases of strength that I can then move out from. And, you know, I find that that's probably, generally speaking, the better option for a lot of these things. And that what I would really rather do in most cases is to build up. But See, in this game, and also in Civilization, some other games, that actually ends up being kind of a negative thing. Like, you want to have a military presence pretty early on, just so you can kind of push back enemies, and you can also be prepared for when they decide to attack you, and depending on what they're doing. And you want to be able to expand. Because the thing is, you can get a certain amount of ahead and progress and stuff like that in this game without going directly to warfare, but it generally seems like conquering more territory and having stable armies is just what you gotta do. I mean, once again, it's Warhammer, so it's kind of expected. But I was trying to kind of focus on not being too much of a warmonger. But in the second part, I was like, okay, I just need to build up an army, and I need to build it up quickly, and I need to use the Matters of State stuff, and I need to use the caravans, which I didn't use the caravans at all during my first playthrough. And then I quickly found that by using caravans, and then by having trade relations with just basically everybody around me in Cathay, I had a lot more going on. When I first played, I gave up Shengwu, the city in Cathay. I gave it up because I was like, well, I don't really want to focus on two areas. But honestly, I noticed on the second playthrough when I kept Shengwu, I didn't really need to do anything for that city over there. I could kind of just sit and, just like, do this with the caravans and things like that. And it seemed like that was generally the much better idea, rather than simply, rushing ahead and being like, hey, I'll take that 20,000 gold and I'll use it for something good. It's like, well, by having this city over here that can just provide me stuff, which I don't really have to worry about because it's just, doing caravan stuff while I'm over here fighting wars. And I forgot to hit dispatch there. While I'm fighting against, the various enemies down here. And then basically, I was just ended up forcing a bunch of them to just surrendering and stop fighting me, because I would build bigger armies and then just go around and take out them. I will say that I really kind of enjoyed the units in Cathay. I thought they were pretty cool. One of the only, and I'm not going to complain a lot. I'm, like I said, trying to keep this mostly positive. But one of the only things I am going to mention that I thought was kind of annoying was when the dragon guy talks, he just talks way too much, man. He just talks way too much. And I think that he, I would just prefer it if he didn't. I kind of got more as he was talking, and more I read about him, why people were calling him Mary Sue as it went on. But I still think that overall I rather like the campaign, the little bit I played. Now, would I play a full campaign of this? I don't know about that. Part of the thing I wanted to do with this new little series, or whatever we're going to call it, is I wanted to try out the different factions, try out the different lords, and see which ones just like clicked with me, and which ones I'm like, okay, I definitely want to do like a whole campaign with these guys. These guys had some very interesting things that are unique to them, with like the Matters of State and the Yin Yang and all that different stuff. I'm not going to lie to you and say I understand the yin-yang stuff exactly. Certain units seem to give yin, and other units give yang. Certain buildings give yin, and other units give yang. I might just need to find a good video on how all that stuff actually ends up working together to understand where I can benefit more from that. Because I also found with the Matters of State, the yang stuff, which I'm pretty sure this yang is the darker one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. The darker one seemed generally, as I was looking at it, more useful than the yin stuff. The yin stuff was useful and had its place, but I kind of was thinking about it. I was like, I need to find how to get more yang stuff, because yang stuff was like letting me like replenish armies and like recruit faster and doing stuff like that, which early on kind of just felt like it was way more important than doing too much on the construction. You can see me here looking at it, and I tried to apply one of it, and then it didn't quite apply, so I was like, okay, whatever, and I just kind of moved on. And I I think it is definitely a cool mechanic. It makes Cathay feel unique, and it makes Cathay feel like its own thing. And I don't just feel like it's like a reskin of the Empire, which is kind of what I was maybe a little worried about them feeling like when I first started with them and when I first saw them. But they definitely feel unique. They feel different. And I think they're pretty cool, actually. I rather enjoyed the vibe of them. And, you know, part of me would really like to see, like, Araby eventually get a similar treatment, or, like, Nippon. Nippon would be kind of neat. I don't even know where Nippon is on the map here, exactly, because it doesn't really look like it's on the map, but I think it's just, like, literally east of Cathay. And I was trying to... once again, I end up accepting the treaty because it is the right thing to do. It is the wise thing to do. We should put away our weapons of war and not wage endless war if we can help it. Not to say that I didn't end up fighting against the Dark Elves and invading the Dark Elves to the south of me before too long, because I definitely did. Should I have done that? I don't know. It was kind of getting to a point where I'm not actually 100% sure how I would actually grow if I didn't attack people. Because it kind of just felt like it was either that or just wait for someone to declare war on me. And then once they declared war on me, go strike them down, which doesn't really feel like a winning strategy in this. I mean, I guess it could be. I did also end up looking a little bit at what you're supposed to do with this guy, and I found that some things I did just, like the Matters of State were things that I needed to do more, and the Ivory, the Caravans were also things that I needed to do more. The Empire also didn't, this Empire guys to the south of me also didn't declare war on me this time, so that was also very beneficial. But yeah, so I think these guys are pretty cool. I think I had some fun with Cathay, and I'm definitely going to try out Cathay and play around with this campaign some more in the future. So I'm glad I tried them out. But the purpose of these new little videos here is basically I just want to try out a different lord every week and just play around with them a little bit and just see what I end up liking. Because most of the time when I played this game, I have played Azdak the Slaughterer, Skarsnik, or Balthazar Gelt. I think it's most of the time. That or Vlad von Karsten. / Isabella von Karsten, one of those. So there's like 5 out of like all the tons and tons of different lords. There's like 21 factions in this game, and most of them have at least more than one lord. I think some only have like 1. I think the demons might have just 1. I don't know. I don't really normally touch the demons because they literally didn't even seem like they had the ability to not be horrible monsters, which I mean... Like, I understand they're demons, what exactly do you expect? But it's like, it kind of, to me, just makes them less appealing. Like, I like doing the diplomacy and doing the talking and, like, trying to be friends with people. And trying to have a nice, peaceful kingdom, as peaceful as we can. But, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, so, this is pretty cool. I'm going to spin the wheel again next time and see what new faction I get. And, yeah. Thank you. Okay, well, thanks very much for stopping by. And someone just threw a sock at me. Anyway, I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day. I hope you know that I love you and God loves you, and bye-bye. I love you. Bye. Have a great one. Bye.